When corporate workforces scattered into remote, hybrid, and bring-your-own-device environments, the traditional IT perimeter broke permanently. For decades, legacy on-premises servers relied on a local, physical network. The moment an employee's laptop or phone leaves the corporate building, those servers lose visibility. Microsoft responded to this architectural failure by moving the control plane to the internet, pivoting heavily toward cloud-native endpoint management. Endpoint management at Microsoft functions as a broad family of distinct services, primarily housed under the Intune brand, rather than a single software application. IT leaders can no longer build walls around a physical office. The mandate now is to manage and secure an invisible, global network of individual devices. The Microsoft Intune family pulls together core endpoint controls and several peripheral cloud services. This diagram maps out the infrastructure available to you. Administrators must navigate identity, hardware provisioning, virtualization, and patching. But licensing every module without a strategy creates redundant loops and bloated subscription costs. Conversely, if you ignore the cloud entirely and force a remote workforce to route back through legacy on-premises servers, you will severely bottleneck their productivity. To avoid both of those extremes, we need to map out specific tool combinations within this ecosystem that match exact business structures. Success in modern IT requires treating Microsoft's ecosystem as a modular menu. You evaluate the board and select only the specific services required for your organization's unique architecture. The baseline for traditional IT is Configuration Manager. This is an on-premises solution that uses Active Directory to identify and group resources. The primary benefit of Configuration Manager is deep visibility. It gives administrators highly granular control over PCs, Windows servers, and data centers that live on the local network. The trade-off is physical overhead. Configuration Manager requires heavy hardware infrastructure to maintain, and it effectively fails at managing modern mobile devices. This matrix compares traditional Configuration Manager against Microsoft Intune, the cloud-native alternative for unified endpoint management. Intune operates entirely without local servers, and users only need an internet connection. It easily handles bring-your-own-device scenarios across multiple operating systems, though it does sacrifice some of that legacy, granular control over local servers. To bridge these two environments, Microsoft built Co-Management. Co-Management connects your existing on-premises servers directly to the Intune cloud. This grants your legacy hardware access to web-based metrics, like endpoint analytics, while preserving your original local investments. Firm. This foundational choice dictates everything else. It determines whether an IT department spends its budget maintaining physical hardware racks or designing cloud policies. Once the core management layer is set, we have to look at how corporate devices actually reach the end user. The engine here is Microsoft Entra ID. Previously known as Azure AD, this is the cloud-native identity system that links specific users to their devices and groups. Advanced Entra ID licenses include features like dynamic grouping and conditional access. Conditional access is a security tool that automatically evaluates a user's location and device health before it allows them to open corporate data. This flowchart illustrates Windows Autopilot, a hardware provisioning service. A laptop can be shipped from the factory directly to a remote user's house, completely bypassing the IT department. The moment the remote user turns the laptop on and connects to Wi-Fi, Autopilot automatically joins the device to enter ID, enrolls it in Intune, and configures the out-of-box experience. If shipping physical hardware isn't practical, the alternative deployment method is Windows 365. Windows 365 Cloud PCs are virtual machines hosted natively in the cloud. If you have remote contractors, this allows you to provide a secure, fully managed Windows desktop experience without ever mailing them a physical device. Mastering this deployment layer shifts the IT role from physical hardware handling to digital identity architecture. Once devices are deployed, they generate a massive recurring bandwidth drain on IT departments, operating system and application updates. Microsoft addresses this issue with Windows Auto Patch. It's a cloud-native service that completely automates patching for Windows devices, as well as apps like Microsoft Teams and Edge. The mandatory trade-off of Auto Patch is a loss of control. Administrators must surrender the ability to manually schedule every individual granular update, and instead trust Microsoft's automated release rings. Beyond patching, organizations can purchase Intune Suite add-ons. These include endpoint privilege management, allowing standard users to safely complete tasks requiring admin rights, and Microsoft Copilot in Intune, which uses AI to quickly troubleshoot device issues. These automation modules drastically reduce daily friction for IT. However, because these capabilities require specific premium licenses, they demand strict budget justification. Looking at this ecosystem diagram, there is no universal right answer. The correct configuration depends entirely on your organization's current physical footprint. Let's map this out into 3 distinct pathways. First, if you are a legacy IT admin managing heavy data centers, do not try to rip and replace your infrastructure. You should use co-management. This allows you to retain absolute local control over your physical servers, while gaining cloud-based endpoint analytics to monitor device health. Second, if you are a cloud-first director managing a distributed startup, go 100% cloud-native. Rely strictly on Intune, Entra ID, Autopilot, and Autopatch to manage your fleet over the internet. Third, if you are a hybrid fleet manager dealing with a chaotic mix of corporate hardware and personal devices, your essential tools are Mobile Application Management and Windows 365. Mobile Application Management, or MAM, is crucial here. It allows you to protect corporate data on a user's personal phone through targeted app policies, without legally or technically intruding on their private data. The ultimate goal of modern Microsoft Endpoint Management is not to actively monitor every device. The objective is to build an automated framework where IT rarely has to physically touch a piece of hardware ever again.